Hello, everyone. Happy holidays. Yay, Santa hats. Love it. Festive.
All right.
Hi,
Wonderful.
Denise. Hi, Michael. Welcome.
Hi, Terry.
Hello.
Hello.
Glad everyone got their kits in time. Santa sure was in trouble this year. He was cutting it to the last minute. He better get on his game before actual Christmas gets here.
By
I
the
tell you
skin
what.
of his teeth. Yeah. But we're excited to make some delicious cocktails with you today and share off our festive attire.
Yes, we're getting in the mood, Evan even has some jingle bells on, so while he's shaking, you're going to hear some extra.
It might be a little bit of a lot.
Yeah.
It might be a lot.
If it starts to annoy people after a little while, you just let us know.
We can take it off.
That's right.
But we're gonna give others
minutes.
A few more minutes to join, and then we'll get diving right in with these delicious holiday cocktails.
Yeah. What's everyone's plans for the holidays? Everyone's staying kind of local, or anyone traveling? Denise, I know you guys are staying local. We're all excited for some family to come to town. Yeah. For our drinks, this is the first drink. We're gonna do a wine glass.
Yep, glassware. We've got the wine glass. We've got regular kind of rocks glasses for the second one.
And then little coupes or fun little glasses for the third. Hi, Denise. How you guys doing?
Good.
Got Alex there with you too?
Yep, he's here too.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, we are looking forward to having some relatives in town and
trying to take the whole week off between Christmas and New Year's and really spend some quality time with people. And Evan's birthday is Christmas Eve, so we have extra celebrations this time of year.
Yeah.
I have to figure out. So I started last year because, when your birthday's near Christmas, it's a little bit of a bummer, especially like when you're younger and people try to like merge the gifts together and kind of do the thing. And his friends are never around for his birthday because they're all doing family stuff. So he doesn't get the same birthday experience that the rest of us do. So I started last year because he doesn't complain about it, but he makes it known that it's kind of a bummer. So I started hiding the Christmas tree and just throwing a sheet over it. But this year, because we have these beautiful high ceilings, we went out into the forest and actually cut a 10-foot Christmas tree, like in the wild. In the wild. And so, but it's a 10-foot Christmas tree. And so I was looking at it today and I'm like, how the heck am I going to hide that Christmas tree for Christmas Eve to celebrate his birthday? So I have a little logistical challenge ahead of me, especially since Evan is normally the one I would call on to help me figure that out.
Yeah, it was a very pleasant surprise the first year that Suzanne did this. I came downstairs and there was just a shroud over the Christmas tree and it said happy birthday on a little banner in front. And we started calling it the ghost of birthdays past because it was just like this creepy ghost floating in the corner of the room.
Yes. Christmas Eve doesn't exist. Hi, Kristen.
Hello. Glad you could make it.
Good to see you.
Oh, Michael, I love that you went and got a hat.
Yes. Bring the festivities in. I love it. Awesome.
Everybody has hats, so I got a hat.
That's right. Yeah, and Alex, I like yours. It's almost like a jester hat. It has it. Yeah. Oh, that's cute. I like that. That's really fun.
What
jester Santa hat?
That's great.
Evan has his reindeer ears on, mostly because he gets too hot in these Santa hats, whereas I am like, ooh, keep me warm. Let's do the Santa hat. All right, should we get making our first cocktail here?
See why not? So we can have something to sip on while we chat holidays.
Yeah. So our first cocktail is honestly one of my all-time favorite cocktails to make while I'm cooking, honestly, for the holiday meals, to sip on while I'm cooking, and also to just have ready so if guests arrive early, because it's super easy to make. And it's featuring Amaro. Yeah. And so if you're not familiar with Amaro, it's a bitter liqueur.
Amaro not technically. It translates to bitter in Italian.
Right. And so you have actually some extra in here. You're only going to need about half of this for your 2 drinks. And so if you want to pour a little bit into a little glass and just take a little sip of it first, we always recommend, if you've never had something before, to give it a try, because based on what it tastes like, you might decide you want to add a little more sweetener to your cocktail, you want to add a little bit more tartness to your cocktail, whatever the case may be. And this is kind of the full-size bottle of this Amaro that we have here. And so the nice thing about this is it actually has a little bit of a smokiness to it as well.
Indeed, yeah.
That's what the word means, right?
Yeah, so
Sfumato?
sfumato means smoky, and that characteristic of this particular Amaro comes from the primary bittering agent ingredient, which is the word below that, which is rabararo. And if you're going to take a shot at translating that, I'd give you kudos. But rabararo is Italian for Chinese rhubarb. So when using Chinese rhubarb as the primary bittering agent in this Amaro, it gives a little bit of a smoky characteristic.
Yeah.
So yeah, Amaro Sfumato Rabararo.
And the reason we're calling this the Santa Spritz is because Amaro is really good for digestive purposes, to get your belly kind of in order. So it's often drank after a big meal. So after you have your big Christmas meal, having a little bit of this will kind of help you digest. But having it beforehand also helps kind of get your belly ready for some overindulgence and some rich foods. So we always like
those digestive juices.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's also, I like to make it when I'm as a first cocktail or while I'm kind of making dinner, because it's lower in ABV, it's lower in alcohol. So you can sip on it for a little while and not worried that you're going to get sloshed and mess up the mashed potatoes. So we're excited about this one.
One of the reasons why Amaros and bitter digestifs and aperitifs are good at kind of waking up your digestive system is because in general, like biologically, physiologically, the bitter flavor in nature is generally indicative of toxins. And so as a way to try to kind of break down what might potentially be harmful, your body tends to flood your stomach with a lot more stomach acid when you taste something bitter, as a way to kind of destroy what might be otherwise harmful to you if it weren't dealt with stomach acid. Kind of cool.
Yeah. So get your Amaro out of your box and your Shaftesbury dry cider. We can talk a little bit about Shaftesbury too.
And while we're talking about cider, we'd like to take a pause here just to let you know about our next
January's Kit. January's Kit is a craft cider tasting. We'll be featuring Finn River Cidery, and they are up in Washington State. And so you'll be getting some of these delicious ciders. One of them is a hopped cider. So like beer, it has hops in it. And so that's really fun. One's a farmstead kind of traditional cider.
And then there's a sour one that has a little bit of flavors of stone fruit. So some peaches, apricots, things like that.
Yeah, so this is going to be a really fun box in January to do craft cider for SipScout members. And as always, as we get started kind of making this first cocktail here, please feel free to, whenever you have questions, unmute yourselves, interrupt us, ask us, throw them in the chat, whatever works for you. And we can ask us questions about anything.
Yeah. So first off, what we're going to do here is we're going to add some Amaro and cider to.
Denise, did you have a question? I saw you unmuted yourself. No, you sure? You got to just like jump in and interrupt us sometimes. We just kind of keep talking. We're sorry.
Kristen, I like your Meow Me Christmas sweater.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Meow Me Christmas. Yes. Yes. That's so cute. I love it. That is great.
Very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and add, between 4 and 6 ounces of the cider. Actually, I'm going to say between 4 and 5 because I want to leave at least a couple of, I want to leave at least a couple of ounces in here. And you'll see why for the last cocktail that we're going to do. So don't pour out all of the cider into the glass for this first cocktail. And then we're going to measure out an ounce of Amaro. And if you don't have a jigger at home, a tablespoon is a great way to measure out.
Yeah, I'll put that in the chat.
Yeah, a half an ounce is 1 tablespoon. So you'll want 2 tablespoons for 1 cocktail here. And of course, if you're making 2, go ahead and double it.
Yeah, if you're making 2 cocktails, you'll almost use the full can of cider. You want to just leave about 2 ounces left in that cider can. But otherwise you'll use, most of the cider. And then about half of the Amaro, and then you can have the rest of the Amaro to sip on before or after some big meals like we talked about. Or
anybody have any big meals that they're excited about coming up?
That's actually one of the blessings and curses of Evan's birthday being on Christmas Eve too, because we go big for food on Evan's birthday as well. So we have like a huge Christmas Eve, like Evan birthday dinner, and then Christmas, it's huge food again. And so it's extra.
All right. And then I'm gonna add a scoop of ice to this. Not because I'm planning on shaking it, but because I just wanted to cool down. Get this nice and chilly. And so I'm actually gonna take the spoon here and just
Gently stir it.
carefully, you can put your pinky up if you want. Swirl that around just a little bit.
You don't want to break up the carbonation too much, so you don't want to stir it too vigorously when there's carbonation involved, but chilling it down is nice. And you could serve this over ice. We tend to chill it down in the cocktail shaker and serve it up straight again, so that the ice doesn't keep kind of diluting it and making the carbonation go flat.
All right, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and strain it into these 2 waiting glasses. Why, thank you.
Mhm. And then you'll want to pull out your orange bitters and drop a couple of dashes in there. And bitters are one of those things that a lot of people often ask us, man, whenever I make cocktails at home, like my cocktails don't taste like they make them at the bar. And bitters and garnishes in general are one of the reasons why. So people forget to garnish, they forget to add, they think, oh, it's only a couple of drops of bitters, no big deal, I'm just going to skip that part. It makes a big difference. And you could even take a sip of it before you add the drops of bitters. Try it without it. And then try it again after you just do like 2 or 3 little drops of bitters on each one.
Yeah, in this case,
That was a lot, no, mine.
the cocktail is more about the bitters are more about the flavor of the orange that's being added.
Yeah, because these are orange bitters. Yeah, that little lid thing is off of it, huh?
Oh, there's no one for this.
Uh-huh.
Than it is for, so the bitters, Terry, is this little
Well,
bottle.
it's not that bottle. It's,
Oh,
it's
that's
called,
right.
I think you have King Floyd's orange bitters. Is that what you guys have in your box?
It looks more like this. Actually, if you look to this camera over
No.
here.
No bitters? Oh, wait. No?
No, we didn't get bitters in our box, but we have some, so we brought them out.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I didn't get bitters in
No?
mine either.
Kristen, there's no
but
bitters
I'm
in your box
using-
either? Uh-oh, see, I
No,
told you.
but
Yeah,
I'm
see, I
using
told you.
some blood orange bitters.
Perfect. Yeah, if you
Oh.
have orange bitters at home, that's great. Kristen, no bitters in your box either?
There we go. It's not the little blue bottle.
No, the blue bottle is the foamer for the third drink.
Ah, okay.
Sorry,
No.
guys, they sent me a picture of your box and everything to approve, and there was definitely bitters in the picture of the box that I approved. I'm sorry that got left out, but it sounds like a few of you have bitters at home.
I just added ones I already had open, so
Perfect.
works out fine.
Perfect.
And that's your Santa Spritz, delicious while you're preparing any number of side dishes and main courses over the course of the next couple of weeks.
And like I said, just a really nice, easy drink to kind of give to people as they walk in the door to get the juices flowing a little bit. And also with rich food, bitterness really helps cut through that a little bit. It really helps you kind of.
Yeah, very tasty.
Yeah. And this Shaftesbury cider, so Shaftesbury is up in Vermont. They're really great. They, so cider in our country, if you remember, maybe 10, 15 years ago when cider started becoming popular again, it was all very sweet. A lot of it was sweet, sticky, kind of tasted like a Jolly Rancher. A lot of people kind of, either loved it because they like sweet things or kind of got scared away by it. And one of the reasons for that is because when Prohibition happened, so cider was one of the very first American drinks. When, we settled this country and we were kind of over here, making cider was very easy. They would just leave apples out and they would kind of ferment themselves. We had apples all over, the East Coast. But a lot of those apples, a lot of those trees, the types of apples that make this style of cider, a drier cider, those apples tend to be useless for pretty much anything else other than making cider. Baking with them, eating them raw, they are so bitter and so sharp that they just like it's like biting into a crab apple if you've ever done that. And so when Prohibition hit, all those apple trees that really couldn't make anything other than cider were kind of a waste for people. And if that's how they made their money previously, they had to rip them up, plant new crops that they could make money off of. And so we lost a lot of our heirloom heritage apple trees in this country. They just we lost those varieties. They weren't planted again for a very long time. And Shaftesbury is doing a really cool thing because they want those dry, tart, super bitter apples to make these styles of cider. They are actually they forage for apples, but they also put a call out to the Vermont community and say, hey, do you have a weird apple tree growing in your backyard? Or did you see one down the street when you were driving somewhere? Tell us about it, please. And then they go out and they find these apple trees that no one knows what they are. They're kind of overgrown, they're being ignored, and they harvest them. And then they also graft them onto new plants so that they can bring back these heirloom kind of varieties and make delicious dry ciders like this.
Yeah, we'll send them in for genetic testing and really try to help determine
The
regions, regions where these apple trees are still primarily heirloom varietals, even though that Suzanne mentioned they are less and less common. But bringing them back is I think a very noble endeavor in the cider community, because each one, the same way different grapes, when you're making wine, will produce different characteristics in the wine. That's the reason why a Pinot Noir tastes different from a Cabernet Sauvignon. Each individual apple
Makes very
contributes,
different ciders.
contributes different characteristics in the resulting cider.
Yeah, absolutely. So we hope you enjoy this.
Yeah.
We certainly think it's quite delicious. What do you guys think of this? This was a little bit of a risky one for us to include because we know bitterness can be a little polarizing for people, but part of being a SipScout member is kind of opening your palate and opening your mind and trying things that you might not try normally. So what do you guys think?
I love this cocktail, but I am really sensitive to bitter. So I actually, after tasting it a few times, I added a little extra cider to sweeten it up a little bit more for me. And now it's perfect.
Perfect. And that's exactly what you should do, And actually when we first, the original recipe that I normally make this with is actually 2 ounces of Amaro to 4 to 6 ounces of cider. And when we tasted this specific Amaro, this specific Amaro is much more bitter than some, and that smokiness too lends a different flavor. So we actually cut back on the Amaro ourselves, even though I am a super bitter lover.
Yeah, the original recipe was hard to perceive the apple
cider
characteristic through the smokiness and the bitter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
Patrick
refreshing.
couldn't join us this evening, but he's a huge Amaro lover, as you guys know, and I'm sure he's gonna love this Amaro and would like the original version. I love it.
Michael, were you saying something?
No, I just said it's very refreshing and it's, and I like the bitter as well
Yeah.
as Kristen. Yeah.
Hey Jay, let's see that sweater you got going on there. What's happening here?
We've got a couple of good
Oh,
sweaters
and
here in
a
contention.
scarf too. Oh, it's a onesie. Yes,
Merry Christmas.
man, oh man, that's amazing. I don't know, Kristen. I thought you were going to be the winner. We weren't even having a contest here, and I was in love, but a onesie, but the cat with the red nose. I don't know. I don't know. There's some good stuff here.
They both get a Christmas applause.
I was at a work holiday party today that had an ugly sweater party. I did not win, but people did like it.
You didn't win because it's kind of a cute, ugly sweater.
I know. Yeah. The person who won actually had bells on their sweater that would jingle every time she moved. So,
So not just an ugly sweater, an ugly, annoying sweater.
right. And the other person who won actually had a t-shirt on that said, "Due to inflation, this is my ugly sweater." But it was a t-shirt.
That's good. I like
Yeah, it was cute.
Yeah, that's great.
That t-shirt is the new indicator for the market.
Yeah. Merry 2022.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad everyone has some.
I like how the bitters in this and the Amaro take away some of the tang of the cider. That's great.
Yeah, as with food, it's it's a balancing act when you're making a cocktail. With a dish, you're generally kind of balancing elements of salt and acid and fat and, spice and heat. With cocktails, it's generally sweet and sour, and then the warmth and the heat from the alcohol, and then bitterness. And, sourness will cause your salivary glands to start cranking and punching out, a bunch of saliva. The same way spice will do that with, buffalo wings. But then bitterness is drying. So that's a very, that complement, they complement each other very well. The bitterness dries your mouth out, and then the acidity causes you to salivate, kind of removing that dryness.
Yeah, because good, again, a lot of people think of cider as just being sweet mostly, but dry ciders, apples have more tannins in them than grapes do. And so when we think of red wine with a tannin,
At least cider apples.
cider apple, but also because apples have tannins in the flesh and in the skin and in the seeds and in all parts of them. Whereas with grapes, the tannins only exist in the skins. And so that's why red wines are tannic, but white wines are not. And so you can get that. The dry ciders especially can be a little overpowering for some with the tannins and that,
Fascinating thing, if you ever have an opportunity to try a cider apple, the bitterness and the tartness, likely will be pretty overwhelming and make it borderline inedible. Fun fact though, keep in mind that the sugar level in that apple is pretty comparable to any grocery store apple you'll find. A Gala apple, a Pink Lady apple, the sugarness is pretty much the same across the board. It's just whether or not and how much bittering component and sour component it has to complement that in the apple. And oftentimes it's so much that you don't even really taste the sweetness. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Evan's gotten very into cider and apples
Yeah.
since he's met me. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Kristen, what are your plans for the holidays?
We are going back to Boston to see Patrick's family. So we will be back on that side of the country, and I'm sure we will get some New England Chinese and
I would hope so.
do the normal.
As one does.
Yes.
Excellent. Nice. Are you guys staying there through New Year's as well, or are you back?
No, we are back here for New Year's. Probably doing just a very quiet night at home at New Year's with friends who just recently had a baby. So need something quiet to do. So they bring the baby over, put the baby to sleep, and we can all hang out by the fire.
We're gonna have a baby around this New Year's Eve too. So
We are.
we'll see. We're meeting our first ever niece and or nephew, I guess. What's the group term for that? I don't know if there is one. But we're meeting our little baby niece for the first time. Evan's sister and brother-in-law, they live over in South Korea, and they just had a baby a little over a year and a half ago almost. And we still haven't met her. We've only met her through Zoom, and so we're so excited to meet her and of course see Evan's sister and brother-in-law, like whatever, like they're old news now. Like, but yeah, so we're excited to have a big family
Play with a baby.
Christmas.
Nice.
Yeah. It'll be nice to be home. I feel like I often travel at the holidays, so nice to just be home and in your own element and kind of decorate and feel cozy.
Hence the tree.
Jay, what about you? What are your holiday plans?
I'm going to test the audio here, see if I get feedback. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Sounds
Oh,
great.
yeah.
Okay. You're not getting feedback on you?
Nope.
All right, good. Let's see, this weekend, I'm actually going to go down to Portland and hang out with my cousin. And then I've got a few days and I'm flying to Chicago, where I'm going to see that side of the family. And I'm looking to get that nice jolly belly, eating all that Chicago food.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just bring along some Amaro. You'll be back in action, ready for more eating the whole time.
Yeah, this is going to be some good research for some family holiday drinks and stuff like that. And so
Perfect.
Excellent.
this is some good meal prep that we're going through here.
I like it.
Yeah, the first couple I think are pretty straightforward and fitting for the holiday season, but also you can whip them up in a flash.
Easy to make.
And then the third one is
A little more involved.
a little more involved and kind of impressive.
Yes. Yes.
It'll
If
be
you want to
fun to
impress
show
your
off.
guests, that's the one to go with.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chicago at Christmas, I bet is great. We were there kind of at winter around early
Early-ish,
Christmas,
yeah.
yeah. Although we're,
Yeah, going to the Chris Kindle market was quite
oh
fun.
yeah, that is fun, the German kind of.
Yeah, having
markets.
some glue wine.
Mhm, mhm. Are we ready to move on to our
Sure.
second drink, our Pom Prancer? We had fun naming these cocktails.
We did.
We apparently really like alliterations. They're all alliterations.
Alliterations always.
So the Pom Prancer really kind of celebrates the flavors of the season.
Yeah.
Pomegranate, apple, orange, right? All of those things kind of coming together and really are what are in season right now.
Yeah.
And so, and it's also beautiful and you get to play with your decorating skills a little bit.
Indeed. So the first thing that we're gonna do in preparation for making this cocktail is,
We're using a rocks glass, by the way.
yes, we're using a rocks glass and we're gonna be preparing our glassware for the cocktail. In general, you always want to make sure that your glassware is ready to go before you start making the cocktail, because the worst thing that you can have happen is you begin making the cocktail and you get to the end and you're ready to go and you look around and, oh gosh, I forgot to, pull the martini glasses out of the freezer. So there's a nice cold glass for the drink to be made in. Or I needed to put a rim on it because you can't put a rim on it after there's liquid in the glass. So preparing your glassware before you start making any kind of cocktail is really an important first step.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'm just gonna switch cameras for a minute. I don't know if you guys noticed, but we have a cocktail cam going on here too that you can pin for yourself at any time, but I'll just kind of show you here while Evan is.
have the lemon juice.
Sure.
Thank you. So, yeah, you can see here this rimming sugar. And we're gonna just kind of moisten the side of the glass as a way to get the rimming sugar to adhere to the side of the glass.
And so you can do this by just kind of wetting a little paper towel with either a little lemon juice as Evan is doing, or a little water. Either way, but basically you want to kind of get the side of the glass, and you'll see he's doing it on the side of the glass. A lot of people think you're just going to do it on the rim up here, but really you want to kind of do it down the side of the glass, partially because it's beautiful that way. But also that way you can just kind of do half of the glass and make it really pretty, and then drink out of that side when you want a little bit of that sugar, and then still have the other half of the glass when you want to try it without that extra sugar sip.
Yeah, especially if you're sharing this cocktail with someone. Somebody might like it sweet and somebody might not.
Or with margaritas, some people like salt, some people don't.
And personally for me with margaritas, yeah, it's, from one sip to the next, I'm just kind of choose, do I want the salt or do I not? want
And
the
so you
salt?
can see here, the sugar is kind of going down the side.
The one thing that I guess you got to be careful about if you're doing this out with a group of people, is then you're licking the side of the glass, like,
You better know them real well,
yeah.
especially in our post-COVID times, although we always half joke, not really, that alcohol kills, so,
So the next step here is you're going to mix the ingredients together. The instructions that you can see in your SipScout report indicate mixing in the glass,
which you can do.
which you certainly can do, and especially if you have a nice big ice cube, if you made a nice big ice cube using the mold that was sent, you can certainly do that. But chilling the cocktail down before you add it into the glass is also a really nice option, because the cocktail will last longer. It's already chilled down to ice temperature, and so the purpose of the ice that's in the glass, which is the next step of prepping your glassware, is simply to keep it cold. It's not trying to cool the cocktail down. And I think Suzanne's grabbing our ice cubes right now.
Throw if you have your large ice cube, get it in there. Did you guys play with your ice molds and make a large ice cube, or do you already have ice molds at home to make large ice cubes with? They're quite helpful.
I have ice cubes that stick together.
Uh-oh.
I guess 3 ice cubes stuck together is almost like a large ice cube.
I have a new refrigerator that actually makes large ice cubes.
Oh, man.
Very cool.
Fancy. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, LG.
Okay,
Cool.
yeah, that's a nice one there.
They call it craft ice.
Craft ice.
Is that craft with a K? I think I've seen that.
Craft is as in with a C.
Oh, it is.
As in Korea where they make it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Jay, was that an actual ice cube or is that like a metal sphere chiller thing?
No,
Oh,
it's
okay.
actually an ice maker in the LG refrigerator that actually makes craft ice that
Wow.
makes cubes about this size.
That's great.
Beautiful.
We
Round
need-
cubes, about the same size as your mold.
Yeah, we need one of those for sure.
So,
You know,
oh God. So go ahead and add the equal parts of the Calvados, which if you are unfamiliar, Calvados is an apple brandy. And this one comes from the northern part of France, in Normandy, actually. Calvados is a region that is designated and recognized by the European Union for production of Calvados. This particular one is a fine Calvados, which holds the lowest aging requirement, and as a result, has the brightest apple characteristic that you see of the different Calvados aging limitations. But really adds some very nice flavor to it. And then go ahead and add on your your pomegranate liqueur. This is a producer called Fair Drinks. And Fair Drinks is all about sourcing their materials in a fair practice. You know, having equal and fair wages for the employees that are harvesting, in this case, the pomegranate. In some cases, it's quinoa. In some cases, it's coffee. In some cases, it's mango. But really great company and
delicious products.
delicious products.
They have a-
most-
they have a
most
com-
important.
They have a kumquat liqueur.
Yeah, that's
That's-
fantastic.
Really, like, yeah. Yeah, I saw Kristen's face on that. Kumquat
Mhm.
liqueur, yum.
And so if you are going to be cooling it off before adding it to your glass instead of just pouring it into the glass, anytime you're chilling a beverage, you want to make sure that there's lots of ice in the vessel that you're chilling it off in. And this is in an effort to cool it off before it begins diluting past the point that you want it to. So as you can see, this is kind
Pretty
of
full.
filled like right up to the top with ice, despite the fact that the liquid level was only down about a third up to the top. And just kind of rock that back and forth.
Hey,
And you'll
this
see
is
when Evan
good.
stirs, he doesn't just stir in a circle. He makes like figure eights in there. And
Yeah, you
then
can see it's not really moving if you do that.
if you just go in circles, the ice just spins around itself versus if you kind of rock it, you're creating chaos and you're making the ice go through the liquid in all different directions. And again, cooling it down faster rather than diluting it.
Now, something that logistically didn't work to be able to include in this, but really can help set it off a little bit, is actually putting fresh pomegranate juice in here as well.
Mm.
Pomegranate juice is really just not shelf stable, and shipping it as such didn't make us comfortable. But adding a little bit of
Just like a splash though, right?
a little bit of pomegranate
Yeah.
juice can really help again keep the balance with this cocktail in check with the tannins that you get from pomegranate juice that are not as easy to translate into the actual liqueur itself.
And if you had a pomegranate handy, you could certainly put some fresh pomegranate seed on top of your drink as a garnish, which would be beautiful as well.
Yeah.
Then a little bit of orange bitters.
That's right, a little bit of orange bitters to round out the holiday flavorings.
And again, taste it before you put the bitters in, taste it after you put the bitters in, especially if you guys have orange bitters. I'm sorry if any of you don't have any at home again. But it does really make quite a big difference to kind of have it. And if you don't have orange bitters at home, but you have an orange, just do a little orange zest maybe over it. you know, or express a little orange
Yeah.
peel, actually, is what I mean, not orange zest, I'm thinking of cooking.
Yeah, take a potato peeler and hold the potato peeler steady and turn the orange and peel off just a little layer of the zest.
Oh,
And
thumb
then-
size,
Yeah, put the orange side facing away over your glass and just kind of squeeze it right in half and
drop it in.
watch the oils blast out of there and kind of bring this to life in yet another way.
Yeah. Cheers. I love Jay's one, it just makes me giggle whenever I see it. Mm. So this is a little stronger, you'll notice, stepping it up a little bit from our appetizers pre-drink.
Right.
But this is really lovely, again, a little bit of that tartness, a little bit of that, you know, with some of the rich foods and appetizers and deliciousness.
Definitely. Yeah, this is one that what might be good for the cocktail hour, whereas the previous one would be good while you're cooking.
Mhm, mhm.
Sitting around the fireplace.
It's important to have drinks for every stage of the meal.
Yeah, which Christmas carol does this one go?
Yes.
I would say the holly and the ivy.
Mhm,
That's my vote.
mhm.
You know why? It's because of the red and the green. There's red, there's green.
The red and the green, the red and the green.
The holly and the
yes,
ivy.
Yes. What do you guys think of this one?
Resounding endorsements around.
Don't be shy on us. We're all friends here. This one almost makes me think it's like almost like a holiday old fashioned. You know, I mean, like I know like an old fashioned is, you know, whiskey and bitters and sugar, but like especially with a little bit of sugar rim, and it's just like instead of, it's just the apple brandy instead of the whiskey, and then a little bit of
And I feel like brandy was a common,
Yeah.
use case in early old fashions,
Mhm,
and you got the
mhm.
bittering component of the pomegranate.
Yeah.
And well, the bitters as well.
Yeah,
I like that it's a little bit more spirit heavy.
yeah.
And I just put a little bit of just a tiny little dash of vanilla extract in it too, just to
Oh,
put a little holiday cheer into it. A little bit more than what's already there. But I love the color. I love the color, and I love the just the presentation of this. I mean, this is a great, you know, Christmas sort of drink.
Yeah.
And like, how do they get the sugar to be green like this?
Probably,
elves,
you know,
elves.
yellow number 5
Yeah.
and blue number 40 in
No, the one that,
appropriate mixtures.
yeah,
No, this one we found is an all natural one.
it is. I'm
Um,
not sure where the green color comes
yeah.
from.
I mean, that makes more I would say that green is more commonly found in nature than like
Blue.
blue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, hard to make blue from nature.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We
Yeah,
have-
you can get all these rimming sugars. They have them on Amazon. They have all different colors of rimming sugars. They also have something that's really cool that I have not looked into how they do this or what the actual ingredients are yet. But there's things you can drop in your drink. So basically you could get a red one for this. And you drop it in your drink and it makes it like iridescent and like almost like lava lampy, like
Wow.
beautifully. And it looks just beautiful, but I have to imagine it's like chemicals up the wazoo to be able to make that sparkly goodness happen in there. What's that? What do you got there?
We do have a little pot of pomegranate juice.
Oh yeah, we have a neighbor who has a pomegranate tree
Yeah.
and I don't know if he gifted us or if he offloaded his
Yeah,
surplus to us.
I kind of feel like he was like,
But
I don't know what to do with all these. I have too many.
yeah, so we got like 2 shopping bags full of pomegranates. And we were like excited, but also like, oh man, that's a lot of freaking work. What are we supposed to do with all these pomegranates? And Evan, because Evan's like the what's the word when you're very focused on like small details? He likes projects like that. And so one day he just like put a movie on and he just sat in our living room with pomegranates, mind you. I trust him a lot. And he sat at the coffee table and just opened all the pomegranates and got all the seeds out. And it took him like 3 hours.
Yeah, it was a little bit of an involved project.
But then we put the pomegranate seeds in a blender. And if you whir them up with a little water or no, just
Yeah.
straight. And if you whir them up, you can make your own pomegranate juice. It just turns into like, you strain it afterwards, but it makes like really fresh pomegranate juice.
And then you understand why pomegranate juice is
So
expensive,
expensive.
because it's a real pain in the butt.
But that's right. I'm glad you remembered we had that.
That's pretty nice.
And as the pomegranate juice sits in your fridge, it will start to kind of self-ferment a little bit. Pineapple juice does as well.
Anything really.
Well, I mean, I feel like apple juice does, I guess because those are all pasteurized and like flash, whatever. But pineapple juice and pomegranate juice in particular, if you kind of leave it in your fridge for a while and you open the thing, you'll like kind of pop and it starts to ferment and
Homemade
Christian, you
pomegranate
gotta taste
cider.
yeah. All right. What holiday movie should we be watching? Does anyone want, I've been kind of binging holiday movies a little bit, but I've been binging the crap ones, the like Netflix and Hulu, like brand new ones. What are the classics that we vote for?
I think one of the new classics is one called Claus, and it's actually a Netflix produced one, and it came out, I want to say 2 years ago. But I think it's probably the best Christmas movie in the last 2 decades. And I say that because it captures that like innocent magic of the Christmas season without being sort of like sarcastic or cynical. And so it's just like, it's old timey. So, and it's a cartoon, and it's also made by an Italian company that also has some other stuff that they've done, but it's absolutely awesome.
Is this the one about the postal station, like up in the North Pole? I saw that. It was really good. At first I was a little like, this feels a little dark, but it was really quite nice. You're right.
Speaking of dark, we've fallen into watching 2 Christmas movies that we're not really sure what it was about the description that caused us to start watching them. And after having watched them for about 15 minutes, we
were like
weren't
gripped.
really sure what was going on, but we knew we needed to keep watching it.
I think why we watch them is because I feel like Evan indulges me, and I am a Christmas crazy. Like I love Christmas, and I just like want Christmas all the time. And because he's a Christmas Eve baby, he does not feel the same. And so he indulges me a little bit by like turning on Christmas movies. And so I feel a little bad because I know I'm crazy about it. And so I try to indulge him by being open to like Die Hard, which is not a Christmas movie, and like crap like that. And so when when these came up and they were like kind of weird, I was just like, okay, it's a Christmas movie. I guess let's try that. And then go ahead, continue.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean,
The 2.
they definitely are a little on the dark side, but fascinating, intriguing. One from like a cultural perspective, because one was Scandinavian.
Yes.
I believe Finnish.
And we don't honestly watch international movies that much because we're in front of a computer all day and I'm like, I don't want to read when I'm relaxing. But
So yes, it is subtitled. Oh yeah, I'm gonna make one of those, Denise.
oh yeah,
I'm definitely making one of
that's
those.
the Die Hard.
It's
Yeah.
the coolest idea ever. I really love that.
Yeah. But what was that one called?
That one was called Rare Exports, and it's about the Santa that
Was it
doesn't
from Mel
bring
Gibson one? Oh, no.
doesn't bring toys to good kids. He like snatches the bad kids in the night.
And like eats them, you know.
And it's not like it's not him eating kids.
It's not about that, but, like,
But it's that's the
kind of
version of Santa that
Yeah.
they're kind of portraying in this, and it's pretty fascinating.
But it's also not a horror movie either. Like it's kind of like leans that way.
Yeah,
but
it's brusque and raw, but it's not like it's not a horror movie.
it was honestly like one of those movies. It's a Christmas movie, but it's one of those movies that like we were both like sitting forward the whole time, and like after 20 minutes, we'd be
kind of
like, "Whoa, we need to take a break for a minute." Like this is intense. It was really good. It was very good.
and then the other one was called Fat Man.
And that's with Mel Gibson
I think his first foray back into acting
in a while.
quite a while.
Yeah, and he was amazing. It took me almost an hour, and all of a sudden I was like, "Is that Mel Gibson?" Like he's very good. Yeah. But that's a fun one too. That's more about like the exploitation of Christmas and like you know almost like Santa and his elves are kind of like almost like commercial slaves and like you know like, so those are not my top movies, but those were very interesting.
Fascinating portrayals of the Christmas time.
This is the second.
Spirited. Have you seen that one?
Spirited. I feel like I've heard of it. I'm not sure if I've seen it.
We should work that into
Oh, yeah.
spirits,
Yeah, we should make a
a spirited Christmas.
cocktail. That's right. Yeah.
Cheers.
Yes, cheers.
What's that, Jay? Silent Night, is that what it says?
It's the sequel to Silent Night, Deadly Night, but it's part 2.
All right. They're
And
very-
it's a low budget 80s Christmas movie and it's full of cheese, but it's the great thing about a good cheesy movie is they do it in a sincere way and it ends up flopping on its face and you laugh at its foibles. And that's what this movie is.
That's great.
It's an interesting subgenre, the Christmas terror movies.
I didn't even know it existed until this year. And actually, it's either Hulu or Netflix. I forget which one, but they have a whole row of Christmas horror.
So weird.
It's
One of them is Violent Night.
Violet Night.
It stars the guy that was in the series with the young girl. And it's pretty violent. It is really violent.
As the title would suggest.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm very anti like the movie Bad Santa. I like hate it because like I love Christmas and Bad Santa was just like grossness and negativity around Christmas. But the horror Christmas ones I'm kind of okay with. Like, they're kind of weird.
I mean, it is interesting, like the Finnish one in particular, that is the Santa that they,
No, not in.
lore and
Culturally.
legend culturally
Yeah.
for many, many years. He's called Krampus, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, I think you're right.
Krampus is the term for this
Yeah, you're getting some nods. People know Krampus.
evil Saint Nicholas, yeah.
That means you were holding out all day.
Yeah.
One now.
Yeah, Krampus should have won for sound engineering at the Academy Awards, but like for whatever reason, horror movies are always passed over for like the technical stuff, even though that technically they do things probably better than the winners.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so if you watch Krampus again, watch it in 7.1 and just listen for that hurricane of chaos that's around it.
Okay, cool. Honestly, I didn't even realize that there was a movie of that name. I just know that like the Scandinavian Saint
Yeah.
Nick is this evil version called Krampus.
Now we're gonna have to watch
I'm definitely
Krampus.
intrigued now.
Yeah, no, for sure. What's that? Oh,
Looks
that's
like-
Krampus. That
Looks like exactly who you're talking about.
That's Krampus.
that's Krampus
Look
right
at, he's
there.
got the kids laugh. He's got the kids in handcuffs.
Wait, hold
leashed
on, Bob.
together.
Stay there for a second. I'm just gonna spotlight because that's a cool visual. That's Krampus. Right there.
Yeah, look at those
Yeah.
bad kids crying because they're getting taken off to be et.
Yeah. That was given to us as a Christmas card. Merry Christmas.
I like it.
From a Scandinavian individual.
Not really. A neighbor.
That's right. Are we ready to get creative with our third drink?
Yeah,
Take it up a notch.
sure.
Now that you have some alcohol in you, we're gonna make you do the slightly harder one. We're gonna test your motor skills now.
So this one is has a few steps involved, and I would encourage you to follow along,
Mhm.
but to not get ahead.
Yeah.
Um,
Although I will say, just we're building this up a little bit because this feed foamer, this little blue bottle is one of the things you're gonna use in here. Normally, this replaces an egg white, essentially.
Mhm.
So if you have eggs at home and you wanna do this with an egg white, feel free, we can talk about that.
definitely.
But that makes it more involved, is the egg white is a big part of it.
That's certainly.
We've made it a little easier for you with this.
Yeah, and this is something that would make it easier if you were planning on making these through the course of the holidays, as well as, as opposed to adding an egg white each time. Yeah.
We'll show you what the bottle is. You can actually buy this on Amazon. So you can use an egg white in this cocktail, or you can use something called aquafaba, which is the liquid that's left over at the bottom of a can of chickpeas. So instead of dumping that down the drain, we would recommend pouring that juice in an ice tray, freezing it into little aquafaba ice cubes. And then when you want to make drinks, you just thaw one of those out. And that's essentially the same as using one egg white for a drink. And then there's this other approach, which is what's in your little blue bottle. It's called Fee Foamer. It's by Fee Brothers. And they have other, other brands of this as well, but Fee Brothers is a very well-known, reputable brand. And it's basically a synthetic
Yeah,
version of a foaming agent.
it's
I don't know.
glycerine or, yeah, propylene glycol.
Right.
Propylene glycol. So it's basically an alcohol sugar that creates this viscosity and surface tension that allows you to have foam without really.
Without egg whites, without chickpea juice, without having to do any
Sure.
work. So it's kind of cool because foamed drinks are very fun.
Yeah, indeed, they look pretty too, and we're gonna make this one look even prettier.
Yeah.
You may have noticed in your box a stencil
Who? Them?
as well as
Yeah, and actually you should prep that first.
Yeah.
this little guy.
Yep,
So
Your
this-
dusting wand.
yeah, this dusting wand is also included in there, and then there should be a packet of cinnamon
Sugar.
sugar right there where the green ribbing sugar from the previous cocktail was located.
And so basically you just want to push the bottom of your thing, open up your sifter, pour the cinnamon sugar in there, and then set it aside until you're ready for that step. We're gonna channel your inner barista tonight.
Yes. May I trouble you for the glassware?
Oh, sure. You mean I can't drink it straight out of the shaker?
Got cinnamon.
All right.
If you don't, Bob and
Oh,
Kristen,
there
if
you
you
go,
don't
there
have
you go.
that, if you have one of these, Bob and Kristen, one of these
Like a
fine
fine mesh
mesh
strainer.
strainer. You can use
Yeah.
that. You can use that to just dust some cinnamon over on top of your cocktail when you're done too.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, let's get started with the recipe itself. We are going to add the ingredients to this shaker tin. And just to make sure that this is clear, there should not be any ice in your cocktail shaker right now.
And that's true whenever you're making any cocktail. You don't want to put the ice in first and then make the cocktail on top of the ice because the whole time
Oh,
ice is melting and it's watering down your cocktails. You always put the ice in last.
Right.
But for this, it's particularly important.
Yeah, so the ice is meant to cool the cocktail down, as we were discussing earlier, as well as dilute it, but you want to be in control of the dilution. So if everything is in there, if the ice is in there from the beginning, the ice begins to melt. And then as you're slowly measuring and adding things, the ice is melting and the ice is melting until you finally get around to the stage where you're going to shake it and stir it. And then it's already probably past the point of the dilution that you might be looking for, which generally is about 1/4 of an ounce. So it's not a whole lot of dilution. You don't want it to melt a lot, but if it's filled with ice from the beginning, it's going to melt more than you want.
Basically,
So-
you want to be in control of the dilution. You don't want the dilution to control you.
Bingo. So we're going to add 1 ounce of lemon juice to get started.
this is up to Zoom.
Um,
Mhm.
Want
and
us
then
to do a whole ounce of this?
1 ounce of the lemon juice, yeah, and then 2 ounces of the brown sugar bourbon.
They have
There is
double
no way to do this.
But yeah, you have twice as much as you need to make one cocktail. So with what you have there, that's enough to make 2 cocktails in case you're inclined to be doing that. And then if you are making just one cocktail,
Now, what did they put in? Somebody's baby.
So right now, what you have in there is
2 ounces of the brown sugar bourbon and 1 ounce of lemon juice.
for one cocktail. If you're making 2, double that. So you'd have 4 ounces of brown sugar bourbon and 2 ounces of lemon juice, which is the entire brown sugar bourbon container and the entire lemon juice container.
Correct. You want to talk about brown sugar bourbon?
Yeah, brown sugar bourbon. So honestly, when they first sent us brown sugar bourbon way back when to try to put in one of our boxes for our
What'd you
corporate events, we were like, brown sugar bourbon. That's not bourbon. That's not bourbon. Don't put stuff in my bourbon. So we were very snobby about it. And then we tasted it.
Well, I
Because
watched
honestly, we've all seen the whipped cream vodkas. We've all seen the like cotton candy
that.
vodkas, the artificially delicious.
We've had
spirit.
Fireball.
Right, they're gross. Artificially delicious spirits are gross. Brown sugar bourbon is amazing. They actually use real brown sugar, real cinnamon. They do it lightly with a light touch. We love it, especially this time of year. You just add it to some hot cider, add it to some cold cider, add it to your tea.
Make a
It's-
hot toddy.
It's really lovely. Jamie Foxx just purchased them. So we're fingers crossed that they stay as good as they have been and that doesn't change things, but if you like Jamie Foxx likes brown sugar bourbon.
And then last but not least there, go ahead and grab the little blue vial that says foamer on it. And if you're making one cocktail, you're gonna wanna basically dash out about half of it. So the easiest way to do that I found is to hold it upside down and just kind of give it little finger spanks. And you kind of have to smack it a little bit to get it to come
And you
out.
can't do too much, like it'll just be foamier if you do too much. It's not a big deal. And if you don't have the fee foamer, this is where you would use egg whites.
Right.
You can put 1 egg white in for 1 cocktail or 2 egg whites in for 2 cocktails. They give you an empty fee foamer.
So as far as the egg whites, do you do that in a separate container or do you add it to it?
Yeah, I would do it in a separate container just in case any shell gets in there, any yolk gets in there, then you're not ruining the rest of your cocktail. You would just throw that egg white out and start over. Because if you do get any yolk in there at all, it will not froth and foam. That will mess up the frothing and foaming. So you can't get any egg yolk in there. Evan likes to just put it over his open fingers on a hand and keep the yolk in his hand and let the whites kind of drip through his hand. I prefer to do the shell back and forth, but the risk with the shell is that you might pierce the yolk and then get yolk in there.
But I want to put the yolk in the drink.
You want to put the white in the drink. You do.
Right,
not-
right. I'm sorry. I'm saying, you're right. I want to put the whites in the drink right now.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Jay, alternatively, especially if you're making 2 cocktails and you have a smaller shaker tin, you
One way.
can put like both of the whites in the vial by themselves without any of the other ingredients and do a dry shake with just the white
First.
and then add the other ingredients and then shake it again. But we feel like it doesn't add that much more foam. It's just easier to go straight to all the
Adding all the
ingredients.
ingredients together. So they actually-
Stands the ice, as mentioned, and
Lost me.
stands the cider. If you are looking at the recipe with the SipScout report, don't include the cider in the shaker tin for the next step. So the next,
Don't ever put carbonated drinks in a shaker if you're going to shake it. Like shake it. You can
so
FYI.
yeah,
Makes a mess.
disaster.
Shaking.
And then
Can I tell them about this trick? Just
I
in
think we
case?
need,
Sorry.
we got the bourbon.
So
Need
you
the
really
lime.
want, if you really want to get things frothy,
Yeah.
and maybe you're doing a couple of drinks at once, or you're trying to what you can do is if you have one of these strainers that goes to your cocktail kit, you can take that spring off and put that spring inside your cocktail shaker while you're shaking the egg whites.
So if you've ever made like a protein shake and they have those little agitator
Yeah.
balls in there to
Same
mix all
idea.
the whey protein in, this would function the same way in your shaker tin.
You don't need to do it, certainly, if you're a good shaker like Evan is, he doesn't typically do this.
I'm gonna do it
He's gonna do
because
it.
now it's off. It's off there.
But it will
anyway.
just make it even frothier and foamer. It's kind of like a whisk being in there a little
Yeah.
bit.
So what you saw me there just do is
Important.
give it a nice little hit on the bottom, make sure it's sealed, and then take a look around, look at your surroundings, make sure that you're not near anything breakable, not near any loved ones. And I would say more often than not, it's easiest to do this if you stand up.
Yeah.
Engage your core.
We're teaching you how to shake like a pro here, people.
Repetitive motion injuries are a real thing. So if you're mixing up cocktails all holiday season, you want to make sure that you don't hurt yourself. Put that cocktail over your shoulder and get after it. You're gonna want to shake here for about 45 seconds and pretty vigorously to try to get it as foamy as you can. And make
Hey,
sure you're
Evan.
smiling.
Suzanne, help us out. What all's in the shaker?
So in the shaker for 2 drinks, are you making 2 drinks or 1?
Yep.
2 drinks?
So if you're making 2 drinks, then you're gonna need 4 ounces of the brown sugar bourbon
The whole container,
and 2 ounces of lemon juice.
the whole container.
And then Probably about 6 dashes of the fee foamer.
Okay, thanks.
And so you'll see he's doing it with 2 hands. He's also creating chaos there. He's, again, just like if you stir in a circle, it just goes in a circle.
Later.
If you just shake back and forth, it's just hitting the top and the bottom. He's really kind of moving it around. He didn't feel like it was foamy enough. He put the top back on and shaking some more.
And
Hold tight.
hold tight, yeah. So now that it's foamed up, I'm gonna let Suzanne
Wash
put
this
the, oh, just
off. I'll put it back on.
put it back on there, because
Do I
we're
know
gonna
how to
need
do
it.
that?
Oh, I hope so.
I don't know if I do.
Start with one end.
Already phoned up. Oh,
Start with that end. Yeah, there you go.
I'm learning, guys. I'm learning something new. Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah,
Now I'm all sticky.
It's mixed in.
and then grab a nice big scoop of ice. Fortunately, this cocktail has already been very well incorporated with regard to the ingredients in the shaker, so you don't have to worry about shaking this heavily with the ice because you've already shaken it for quite a while without ice.
This is just to cool it off.
This is just a cool off, exactly. Remember again,
Get on there tight.
and like 10 or so quick shakes is gonna be enough. It looks like somebody got ahead. Uh-oh, who's getting ahead?
They're pros. They're
I
pros.
know. So
This up with the
What do you mean?
at this point, you're gonna have, you wanna go ahead and strain it into your waiting glass. If you have a fine mesh strainer, that's a very helpful thing to use at this step.
Double strain it.
The reason I say that is because that will help to remove any ice shards from shaking it. That will then cause the foam that you'd worked so hard to create to kind of fall apart. So strain that into the waiting glass.
Yeah.
And
Don't we use
now
that?
you're going to use the cider to give a little rinse to your shaker and get all of the last little bits of that delicious foam you worked so hard to create. So add a couple of ounces of cider to your glass.
If you made both your cocktails tonight, probably just what's left in your cider. And
Strain it once over to the other side, maybe back and forth a couple of times. And then strain it a second time.
some more of that foamy goodness and
and-
add
and-
some apple cider deliciousness to your drink.
Yeah, and the carbonation of the cider also is going to help to really push that foam
I'm going.
to the max.
Now, if you would have stopped before you added the apple cider, or you could use soda water or ginger beer or anything like that for this. If you stopped before that, this would still be this would be a whiskey sour. Once you add a carbonated kind of rinse to it, an ounce or two of carbonation to it, it's now, instead of a whiskey sour, it's called a fizz. So you have a whiskey fizz.
Wow.
And then
Pretty
we're
tasty, huh?
not done yet.
Yeah, we're
That's
still not
wonderful.
done.
We're gonna put some cinnamon on the top. And then, the cinnamon on the top, we're being a little cutesy and we're doing a Christmas stencil and it's like all fun. But even if you didn't use the Christmas stencil, we would still say shake a little bit of cinnamon on top, because most of what you taste in your mouth is coming from your nose and what you're smelling as it's approaching your mouth. And so this is again where people say, man, when I have drinks at bars, they're so like amazing. And when I have it at home, I'm not. It's because they're skipping this garnishing step. And so the smell of cinnamon as you're bringing it to your face and enhances the cinnamon that's in this brown sugar bourbon and makes you kind of taste that cinnamon in the drink more. So even if you weren't doing the cutesy stencil and kind of going all out, oh wait, I'm gonna highlight you. I can find a way to do that. So Evan's doing his stencil. Be careful with these stencil balls or the dusting balls, because they really do tap out quite a bit fast. So you want to kind of gently go from a little bit more of a height.
Whoa.
We like that reaction. Exactly what we're going for here.
Whoa.
Now the real reveal will be when you take the stencil off. Sometimes they don't turn out as well as we hope.
Make that print.
Oh, look at that. Such a print.
Those are
Beautiful.
beautiful.
Wow.
Wow.
Turn into the camera.
This one.
Yeah. So that's-
Christmas miracle.
That's kind of what you're
A
going
Christmas
for.
miracle, yes.
Yeah, that's kind of what you're going for. That nice foam layer. Yeah. Beautiful. Right, let me remove this top. How did everyone's turn out? Did you get some nice foamy goodness on the top?
We flunked.
I see some foam there.
Damn little.
It's all that matter is shaking like you mean it.
Yeah, it is often shaking a lot longer and harder than you think you need to, at least that first dry shake.
Yeah.
That's why we joke you're getting your workout in. But you really need to get those proteins to kind of unfold.
This will be a practice makes perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah, first attempt, you're not meant to knock it out of the park.
Mhm. Yeah. And now, once you taste this, you could decide.
I
you
want a
want it-
little sweeter.
I want a little sweeter. I'm gonna pull back on the lemon juice. I'm gonna add a little bit more sugar.
Mhm.
Or, and so you could actually add some sweetener to this if you wanted to. You could, usually whiskey sours do have a simple syrup in them.
Mhm.
We don't put a simple syrup in this simply because the brown sugar bourbon is pretty sweet on its own. But you certainly could you could make brown sugar simple syrup, just equal parts brown sugar, equal parts water. You could add a little cinnamon to that even, and then add, a quarter ounce, a half an ounce of that for this. If you wanted to.
Delicious,
Mm-hmm.
even without the
Good.
foam.
I'm glad you
Sugar
glad you
boost.
like it despite the lack of foam.
Yeah. Tastes like the holidays, right?
Well, hard to go wrong with brown sugar bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's true. That's a good starting point.
Yeah. I'll put a link in the chat here because we actually, most of the spirits that we use in our kits, we have a site with our vendor where you can actually go buy full-size bottles online.
Right.
So if you like the brown sugar bourbon, if you like the pataka, things like that, you can get that through them online. And then while I'm doing a PSA, you also can gift SipScout for the holidays.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Put that in there.
Yeah, I will. We just set up recently, because this just launched in September, so it's our new baby.
Mhm.
But we just launched gift cards, and so you can actually get a gift card for someone, and you can buy them 1 month of membership, 3 months of membership, or 6 months of membership. And they get to choose when they start their membership. So you get to give them the gift card, and then they get to look at the calendar and say, I'm going to wait until the margarita class in May, and then from then I want to kind of
Right.
be a member.
Or the Irish beer event in March for St. Patrick's Day or whatever it happens.
Yeah, so it's a nice way to help someone explore and try new things and support small businesses while you do. I can't get my mouse over there. There it is. All right, so this is the link to buy full bottles of spirits. And then here's the link to to give the gift of SipScout. Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
jingle jingle.
Jingle jangle.
Tastes like Christmas.
Yeah, it really does.
So is everyone taking time off the week before Christmas or the week after Christmas? I feel like it's weird when it's on a weekend in between like that.
Right.
Like, do you want time leading up to Christmas or?
Yeah,
I
I was
just
wondering when
when it's
it's
midweek, like if it's on a Wednesday, do you take Monday, Tuesday off, or do you take Thursday, Friday off?
Yeah,
These days on
what are you guys
Monday.
doing? What's your like relaxing vacation Christmassy time before or after?
Before.
We,
This year.
today is gonna be our last day and then we have 2 weeks off. So it's
Oh, nice.
Nice.
gonna be real fun, yeah.
What's yours?
I think Alex said before, right? Is that what I heard?
Before, yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Tomorrow is a Christmas party at work and then I'm on vacation.
Alex talking.
Very
Alex.
nice.
Nice. That's great.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi, good to see you. Oh,
Good to
you
see
guys look great.
Thank you.
You lucky
Our silly
dog.
hats.
Yeah, they're wonderful. Especially
Yeah.
Alex's, look at that.
You
Yeah,
won the
it's like a
Christmas hat
Jester
contest.
Yes.
Jester
So
hat.
fun.
Wait, Kristen.
We've
you-
had these hats for probably 10 years, easily.
She talked.
Very cool.
It's big. It's wonderful.
What'd you say, Bob?
Court gesture.
I
Yeah,
was wondering what happened to the rest of the group.
That's wonderful.
Jay,
Oh, those
yes,
are great.
yes, Jay.
Jay's onesie. Wait, can I see the pattern close up? What's the pattern? No, close up. Other way. Your other left. Oh, reindeer.
Merry
Yeah, I
Christmas,
feel like this
Griffin.
is what I was looking like to
Can't
get.
see. Jay has to talk, so he pops up on the
Yeah.
speaker
I'll
screen.
spotlight him. I can manage that for us. Hold on.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Jay.
Wait, Jay,
Come
do
back.
it again. Come back.
Whoa,
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Wow.
wonderful.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's what I was looking at to get us, remember? Like matching ones.
nice,
Very
Jay.
nice.
Jay, you're gonna have to send me the link and tell me where you got that.
Excellent. Thanks, buddy.
We're gonna have to torture Evan with that. Don't laugh too hard. You two might be tortured too.
We're sure you're capable.
Ah. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for a little festive holiday party. It's so nice to see all of your faces and
Yeah.
make some merry drinks with you. We hope that we gave you some drinks that you can celebrate with others and kind of whip up confidently and deliciously
Yeah,
throughout the holiday
just
season.
another couple attempts with the
Mm.
foam. I'm sure it'll be a quick and easy route.
But wait, I
Yeah,
do
me-
want
Also, with that last one, frankly, you're not gonna change the flavor drastically by adding more of the foamer.
no,
So
Don't be
shake it
shy.
more, but also add as much as you need.
yeah. And I did want to put a link in here
I
too.
want
for
the whole
everyone.
bottle.
Yeah,
Sure.
Oh, stop.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be a little, but, or the blue bottle for sure. I also just put a link in the chat for some of our other favorite holiday recipes. So we have a whole document of like 8 or 9, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a homemade eggnog recipe in there, which by the by, if all you've ever drank is store-bought eggnog, oh man, I was not a believer and
Try
we
it.
made it last year. It is
It's
incredible.
super good.
There's a hot buttered rum recipe that's amazing because you just make this batter and then you store the batter in your freezer. So all season long, you just take a tablespoon of it, add some hot water, add some rum, and you are like in cozy
Ready to
holiday
rock
happy
and roll.
time. And it's that's awesome for if guests pop by because you can always entertain them with like, oh, you want a hot buttered rum?
Whip something like
Sounds
that
very
up.
impressive.
Terry, glad you had a great time. Thanks so much for coming and I hope that you love the cocktails.
Yeah. We're happy to hang out and keep chit chatting holiday plans and stuff with people, but we also know you might have to get to your dinner plans for the evening. So thank you for joining us and happy holidays.
Yuletide greetings.
Happy